Hey everyone, I'm Meteorologist Adam Claibon here with you on Wednesday, which has been another relatively quiet day. We did have a brief moment of showers, but not too much rain out there. And I think tomorrow is a similar story. We're going to see some of those showers move through some of the same areas, maybe near and north of Seattle. But we'll go over that here in just a bit. But really, the big daddy of them all, this atmospheric river, is going to be heading our way, heading into Friday and on into the weekend. And that's what's really going to put down the heavy rain as we head on into that time. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it and show you what's been happening out there across not only just here across the Pacific Northwest, but also across the Pacific Ocean. As we zoom out, you'll see that band of clouds. Well, there's a big mass of them all the way out over the Pacific, and that is picking up moisture as it comes our way. And again, this atmospheric river, it picks up. It's a transport of some heavy, deep moisture. And it's just a pipeline of precipitation heading right in our direction, and that goes all the way back towards Japan. So there's a lot of moisture with that, and it's heading our way. So we'll see how much of those different waves of rain we get here in western Washington, because they're going to extend up to the north into BC, also farther south into Oregon, and for us here into western Washington, which we're right now still looking pretty similar to what we were expecting yesterday, between about 1 inch to 2 inches, maybe a little more, around the I-5 corridor, and then outside of there over more the Olympic Peninsula, up across the higher terrain of the Olympics and the Cascades, 2, 3, possibly 4 inches of precipitation, and not all of that will fall in the form of rain. We're also talking about mountain snow. So we do have first alert days starting up on Friday through Sunday. We want to get the word out, want to let you know that the weather is going to be impactful. This is probably going to be one of the stronger systems we've dealt with so far here this season, and expect more of the heavy rain and the gusty winds on Friday and Saturday. Our focus will shift more to mountain snow Saturday evening, Saturday night, and more so into the day on Sunday, and that will include everyone here as far as impacts across western Washington, and for the mountains, more of that snow. All right, here's your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, fairly quiet day. We just see a few of those showers pushing on through. Better chances of rain into the evening and into the overnight hours. We'll see temperatures back in the 60s, and then we're going to drop into the 50s for quite some time, starting into Friday, and then on through the weekend and on into next work week. Here's what's looking like right now out towards Port Angeles, and you can see some clouds beginning to disappear after some of the very light rain that came through early today. And similar story for us here around Seattle. Our Columbia Tower camera are showing just a few of those clouds off into the distance. Do expect, though, that the clouds will return as we head on into the night. Not going to be a clear overnight, and because of that, and more of a south wind, we're going to keep temperatures elevated, only more so low 50s for overnight lows. So it's going to start off just a bit warmer tomorrow morning. Here's radar. You can see some of that shower activity making its way off to the north and to the east, and at the same time, a lot of it beginning to dissipate. Just a few light showers over parts of the Olympic Peninsula. And as we head on into the day tomorrow, we're keeping an eye out for another piece of energy that's going to come on through on into tomorrow afternoon. This is going to come from this area right here. That moisture will track towards us, and we'll get that brief period of light rain into tomorrow, but it's really what you see back this way, that pipeline of moisture that's going to be heading right towards us, heading into tomorrow night and into the day on Friday. So let's continue on. That is going to come along with some breezy winds, and we're going to fast forward all the way to Thursday night at 10:30, and you can start to see some of these gusts getting up closer to about 35, 40, maybe even 40 to 45 miles per hour. Now, by Friday morning, most of the winds will be generally ranging between about 15 to 30, maybe 35 miles per hour. Again, some of the gusts could be a bit stronger in some isolated areas. We'll keep that around as we head on into the latter part of the morning and into the afternoon. But at that point, you can see some of those winds beginning to die on off. And really, this is not going to be a huge wind producer. Not to mean that we're not going to see any winds that will impact the area. We still have quite a bit of leaves on the trees. It's early into the season, and it does add a little more drag to those branches, into those limbs, and sometimes those can fall on power lines. And then, of course, you have issues when it comes to power outages. Not expected to be a wide issue, but something definitely to keep in the back of your mind if you are going to be just anywhere at home this weekend, or just going to be out and about too. So the winds will be breezy, could be power outages. Do plan for that. And as we head on into more of the day on Saturday, you can see some of those gusts try to get back up there yet again with another phase of this system as it's going to come on through. Now, looking at Futurecast, the rainfall with it definitely holding off until late Thursday night, because here we are tonight at about 8 o'clock. You can see little of anything as far as rain. Tomorrow, we get that next little batch to come on through. That's 2 p.m. and a lot of that staying near and north of Seattle. It'll be a quick hitter, just like Wednesday afternoon. And once we head on into late Thursday night and into Friday, this is when we start to see the rain. And it's probably going to be around for that morning commute time on Friday. It's going to be wet. It's going to be soggy. Give yourself some extra time if you had to drive into work that morning, because we're going to see that definitely firmly in place at that point. Some heavier downpours, and we're going to be seeing some minor urban flooding to go along with this. Again, the leaves on the trees, they're going to fall, they're going to head towards the drains, and they're going to get clogged. And so we're going to get some of that ponding to start to show up here. Some minor river flooding possible, even that's looking like a low likelihood, due in part because we're into the time of the year now where that soil has still been dried out from the summer and the dry season. And the rivers, too, are fairly low because we haven't really started to pick up on a ton of rain quite yet. So all of this is going to be really beneficial when it comes to that in particular. The rain, the steady rain at least, hangs with us for a lot of the day on Friday. And then into Friday night, we start to see that let up just a bit. We start to see maybe a little more mountain snow beginning to pick on up. And then this second system is going to come through, tap into some of that moisture yet again, and we'll see another enhancement of some of the rain Saturday morning and into Saturday afternoon as that pushes on through. And so when we're talking about some of these rain totals here into Saturday morning, this does not include Saturday afternoon and what we're expecting on Sunday. Half an inch to an inch, really, it looks like we're going to be on track to get that 1 to 2 inches here across parts of western Washington. So a really wet system. Now let's talk about what will be happening with the snow in the mountains. We continue on here as we head on into more of the day on Saturday. You start to see some of that blue showing up, especially across more of BC, but even down this way across the Cascades of Washington and in Oregon. A lot more of that blue showing up across the mountaintops there, and that's when we're really going to start to pile up some of the snow. Now, there have been some changes when it comes to some of the amounts that we were expecting, and really what we were talking about yesterday, we weren't expecting the big amounts. We knew that there were going to be some back and forths within some of the models. And yesterday, when we were looking at this, it was showing a lot of these locations around Snoqualmie Pass, Stevens Pass, White Pass, all getting above a foot of snow. And taper back a little bit, and kind of around what we were expecting. 3 to 6 inches, maybe around areas such as Snoqualmie Pass, maybe close to a half a foot, if not a little more, around Stevens and White Pass. And then for areas that are a bit higher in elevation, like Paradise and Mount Baker, you can get closer to a foot, if not more, of snow with this as we head on through Monday afternoon. So still a decent snow producer. It's going to come down. It's going to come down heavily, and we still do expect it to fall on top of the highways and the interstates and create some issues. So definitely do be really careful of that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what's happening here as we head on into the night. We'll drop those numbers down into the upper 40s and low 50s. Again, a bit warmer than where we have been here throughout the week, and that's because of some of the extra cloud coverage we're expecting here into the night. In your forecast tomorrow, we top off at 59 in Blaine, around the low 60s in Mount Vernon and in Bellingham. We'll see highs around the low 60s also for our islands, and for Marysville, Granite Falls up to 62, Maltby getting up to 62 degrees, mid-60s around Redmond, 63 in Bremerton. We'll hit a high of 62 in Belfair, mid-60s around Tacoma. Looks like we'll try to warm up quite a bit around Puyallup, up to 67 degrees if we can get some of that extra sunshine. Farther south, low to mid-60s down the I-5 corridor, 50s out towards the coast, and a bit inland just east of the Olympics. Quilcene will top off at 62, Port Townsend at 60 degrees, Sequim at 60, Port Angeles at 57. Here's your 7-day forecast. Pretty quiet day on Thursday before things do start to get going and ramped up here. Heading on into Friday through Sunday with the heavy rain and the mountain snow, more so Saturday night into Sunday before that starts to let up just a bit more, heading into Monday and Tuesday. And one more thing, too, with some of this heavy rain, our fires actually are going to be continuing to be completely put out. The eastern side of the state has been seeing some major improvements with that, but with that being the case, too, some heavy rain on top of these burn-scarred areas could mean some landslides. Low chances, but something to keep in mind here as we head on into that weekend time. All right, everyone, well, have a wonderful Wednesday night. Talk to you soon.